Hello, 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 one and all. Welcome to Drawing Expressions, live streaming here on YouTube. I'm Parz. I am the creative writing guy, and we're going to be talking some creative writing today. So let's just kind of jump right in and do our thing. So first off, it is December 1st here in this part of the world. In a lot of parts of the world, maybe it hasn't quite caught up yet. The whole time zone thing, that's okay. You can still participate even if it's November. That's right, we got you here. Still time for iced coffee. Okay, let's kind of go into what we're doing. So first off, if you are here, please reach out, say hi. My lovely lady love Alicia is monitoring chat. Say hi to her, say hi to me. It would be lovely to hear from you. And if you're catching this on replay, say hi in the chat, because we checked that too. What more to know? Oh, yeah. Something I'd like to mention is the new screen, intro screen that comes up. I don't know if you really pay much attention to it if you're sitting there, you know, but if you do, and you should, it's all background with Alicia's art, and these are Zentangles. It is mindful pattern making. If you'd like to know more, check out her playlist on our YouTube channel. It is a great place to learn. Okay. Dear me, I just lost a thing. Okay, there we go. We're back. I got my phone sitting right here. It's got some notes for me as I was thinking about what we're going to be talking this morning. So with that, let's just kind of move on. I think the phone was just like, move it along. All right, things to know. The most important thing to know, and we're going to be talking about this a lot actually today, guidelines. Guidelines bend. Everything is guidelines. And yeah, so even things that you think that should be set and secure and, you know, never shall be touched, well, they're guidelines. You know, we can bend those guidelines, and we're going to talk about how that's going to apply in the planner section, which brings us to the class structure. Oops, let's get that out of there. The planners and the pantsers, right? And so my planner section for today is going to center around a holiday story that I wrote back in 2018, I think, and then evolved. As I was sort of bantering around with Alicia this morning, realizing that there was more to the story than just simply the character I had created. And so we're going to be talking about a bit of that as well. And that's where guidelines is going to come in. It's all going to work. You'll see. You'll see. In the pantser section, we're going to talk about things that sit in my toolkit in order to write. So with that, let's just make mention of one more thing. So Free Expressions is currently on hiatus. It is, yeah, we're taking a break from it. Not quite sure what the plans are moving forward, but it is on hiatus right now. So I'm just going to make mention of the fact that don't try to go looking for it, because it's not there, the link. Okay, so with all of that said, let us now move into our breathing and our stretching. Let's get our minds and our bodies creatively energized. Okay, so first, our breathing. And so I'm going to invite you to join me in my square breathing. And we start by inhaling 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and hold 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale 2, 3, 4, 5, and hold 2, 3, 4, 5. Breathing in and stretch. Perfect. Good. I'm feeling good. I hope you are too. And we go. Right. Here we are. Yeah. So let's talk about what it is that I intended to start with today, and then we're gonna kind of, go into the weeds a little bit. So back in 2018, I was writing 100-word stories, and I did this daily for like 3 years. And one of the stories that I wrote, and I wrote it around this time, so in December-ish, around this time, it was Clyde, the Forgotten Reindeer. And I will read it to you in a few minutes. Actually, just do this first. And it was just intended to be a one-off. I didn't think much about it. But it was my most read story. I had it posted, in a couple different places, and I mean, it caught a lot of attention. And so it became something that I came back to a few times. I've got 6 that are written. So I'll talk about the progression, how they came about. So before we get into Clyde, let's talk about Santa and the reindeer. And is it okay to write about something that at this point, 2024, approaching 2025, is kind of canon in a way, right? It's, Santa, he's in red. He's got his 9 now reindeer, right? How did that all come about? So first off, Santa wearing red, that only came about in the 1900s. Because Santa had originally been green. He was Father Christmas, and he represented evergreens and all of this stuff. He's wearing red because Coca-Cola did a marketing campaign, and they put him in red, drinking the Coca-Cola with the red label, and it took off. Santa's wearing red. The reindeer. Where did the reindeer come from? Well, I checked out in Wikipedia, and I'm just going to flash up my source real quick. Here we go. So there's the Wikipedia, Santa Claus's reindeer. So you can go in and you can read that at your leisure. And I've got my notes just right here. But the reindeer didn't show up until the early 1800s. There is, let's see, I'm going to scroll through. Clement Clark Moore. He wrote a poem in 1823 that basically took different versions of things that were out there, and he wrote this poem, and it sort of made it the reindeer that we know today. It's called A Visit from St. Nicholas, which is also, let's see here. I'm moving on. Where it is. Okay, there we go. A Visit from St. Nicholas, which is also known as 'Twas the Night Before Christmas. Right? And so it's that poem that gave us really the canon rule of, and it wasn't even all 8 that were definitively named at that time. At that time, it was Dasher, Dancer, Prancer, Vixen, Comet, Cupid, and Dunder and Blixen. And those last 2 are Dutch, meaning thunder and lightning. So that's how that came about. So it's 1800s. Rudolph came about in the early 1900s, thanks to a marketing campaign by Montgomery Ward department store, and the person who actually wrote the story. It was a little book intended to be handed out to families in order to get the families to come to Montgomery Ward to shop for Christmas. So Robert L. May, that was back in 1939. So he wrote in Rudolph, and there have been writers and other excuse me, all other creatives that have made their additions into the lore, into the history of Rudolph. L. Frank Baum, you might recognize his name. He's the guy who did the Wizard of Oz books. And I say books because there's 14 of them. He wrote his own story. He put in 10 reindeer. None of the names, Dasher, Dancer, blah, blah, blah. It's all different things. Flossy, Glossy, Racer and Pacer, Reckless and Speckless, Fearless and Peerless, Ready and Steady. Didn't really take off. So, is it okay to write stories about other reindeer? Absolutely. Is it okay to speculate on what might be happening on the North Pole? Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. Because these are all guidelines. You can write freely and just know that you are contributing to the history of the reindeer and Santa Claus and Christmas and all that kind of stuff. So, all that said, I wrote my first story, set this aside, wrote my first story about Clyde, the forgotten reindeer. It goes like this. Grandpa, what you hanging on the tree? A reindeer. Which one? Clyde. There's no Clyde reindeer. Sure there is. Reindeer are teamed up in pairs, Dasher and Dancer and all that. Clyde's next to Rudolph. But Rudolph's nose glows bright and Clyde has radar. Good team. Rudolph plays the victim, that whole no one will play with me thing. Not so. Rudolph is upper crust, highfalutin. Rudolph's PR team makes you pity him, so he's popular. But no one remembers Clyde. Hi, Mom. Grandpa's been telling me about... Yes, I heard. Dad, have you been eating my medicinal cookies again? And that was the first Clyde story. And viewed thousands upon thousands of times on medium.com where I posted this. So... Nothing attracts interest in writing a second story than interest by a laughing populace with the first one. And in particular, my lovely lady love, who is upstairs, and I can hear laughing. And so it still makes her laugh, makes me laugh still too. So of course I had to write a second one. I had to wait until next December, but I did it. So, let's hear about number 2. Story number 2. In depictions of Santa's yearly ride, 8 reindeer are normally portrayed. Rudolph, if included, makes 9. But never are there 10. Didn't know about L. Frank Baum, or Frank L. Baum, excuse me. Despite the fact that there were that many stalls in the North Pole stable. The name that's been forgotten to history? Clyde. Come in, plenty of room up front. Everyone here? Good. It's my fervent desire to have another successful Christmas. Rudolph, navigational lights. Clyde, radar. Keep us from smacking into mountains. You're the bedrock of the operation. Be ready. Clyde basked in the spotlight. Hey, Rudy, I'm working on my own theme song, just like you. Rudolph glowered. Now, why is Rudolph so famous? This is a good time to pause here. Why is Rudolph so famous? Well, aside from the Montgomery Ward story, then Gene Autry, a few years later, writes the song Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, and talks about all that. And then there's the TV specials and all that kind of stuff. Marketing campaign, PR. I didn't know it at the time, but apparently I was speaking truth to power. Anyway, that one went really well too. Made me laugh, made Alicia laugh. Had to write a third one. And I had just promised a theme song. Oh boy. So I wrote one. It goes something like this. Clyde is the coolest reindeer. Every other reindeer knows. Even the fat man said it. We don't need that glowing nose. All of the other reindeer get lost when walking in their homes. They are simply useless, just like those silly gnomes. It's all me, I've got to say. Santa's on his phone. Keeps the cookies to himself while I place presents in the home. Clyde. Santa, you are on my naughty list. It's desk duty for you. Rudolph, thank you for alerting me to this utter disrespect. No problem, boss. Rudolph shot Clyde a gotcha wink and smirk. Oh my. The rivalry intensifies. And I couldn't leave it alone. So I had to write a fourth story. Can't have Clyde on desk duty all day. It's got to do something. Story number 4. Clyde, Mrs. Claus, my husband and the reindeer aren't getting any younger. We set up rest areas ages ago, but he so far refused to use them. What rest areas? They're in odd time zones like Newfoundland. 11 of them worldwide. You and I will carry liniment and aspirin in the spare sleigh. Support team, huh? Well, I'm your reindeer. Rudolph is Hollywood Flash, but I work for a living. Change of scene. Ho, ho, ho! Chatham Islands down below. 15-minute rest stop. As 9 reindeers start the descent, a voice booms from the darkness. Joy to you all, 'cause Clyde is here! There we go. So that was number 4. And because I just couldn't leave well enough alone, start to write 2 more. Now, at this point, I wasn't really quite sure what to do with Clyde and Rudolph and everything. And I think I was also feeling at the time, commercialization of Christmas, and which has been happening for years and years and years and years and years. Thank you, Montgomery Ward, for creating Rudolph in the first place. So I wrote one that was a bit, a knock against commercialism. Here we go. Santa? Clyde, what are you doing here? Can I sit poolside in Mexico getting drunk on tequila sunrises without the 3rd degree? It's over. I'm done. Was it Rudolph? He and Bezos. They've wrapped in the operation into Amazon Prime. Christmas every day. Makes me sick. Or maybe it's the booze. Can't you fight back? Hired some kids on Fiverr. Made a music video about injustice, I said. They rapped about forced unpaid labor. Technically, I refused payment, so they posted it online. Over 90 million views. The world, wrapped, watching my downfall. I have an idea. See ya. So that was a little bit unfortunate that I put that one at the end. So I promised myself I was going to paint myself out of the corner I had just painted myself into. Wasn't really quite sure how to do that. This is the most adult of the stories. Nothing racy. Everyone can hear it. But just so you're aware. Last story. Santa, you'll never guess what. Don't you knock, Clyde. It's 3 a.m. More like 2:30. Anyway, guess. I don't know. What is it? Bezos and Rudolph are in bed together. Yeah, I told you they're in cahoots. No, I mean in bed, as in bedroom and sheets and pillows and what? Better yet, I have footage. The elves let me in. They're unhappy with the new work hours and elimination of bathroom breaks. The elves let you film their naked celebration? Yule logs and other things an innocent reindeer shouldn't have to see. Blackmail material? It's perfect. Well done, Clyde. And that is the end, temporarily perhaps, of Clyde the Forgotten Reindeer. So, with all of that said, is it okay to write about reindeer? Yeah. Is it okay to throw it out there and make yourself laugh and make your loved ones laugh? Yeah, it is okay. Is it okay to speculate? Is it okay just to make stuff up? Is it okay? Yeah. In fact, I encourage you to do it. Please. If your mind goes there, give it a go. And with that, I'm going to end the planner section of this live stream and invite you to take a nice deep breath in with me. Here we go. And stretch. And out. So something to think about between now and maybe the end of the year is, what story do you want to write? What holiday tradition do you want to maybe throw your hat into? Give it a try. A star that watches over, talks to the other stars and sees what's happening. Maybe sees what's going on other planets. Maybe, we got snowmen who talk. Why not other snow people? Why not a whole colony of snow people? Why is there only one with a magic hat? I don't know. Think about it. Think about it. Okay. On to the pantser time. And in pantser time, I want to talk about my writer's toolkit. So what do I mean by that? When I think about sitting down and writing, what is it that helps me along? What is it that gives me my start? What is it that keeps me from looking at a blank screen and not really being able to say anything? Now, I've shown technique before with the seed word germination and how, so you can develop your prompts that way. We've had, picture prompts. We've had prompts for Moss Piglet and other publications. Where can we go? What keeps us going, right? What inspires us to actually want to put words onto the page? So the first place that I go to, that I think about, is, what is my motivation? What is my desire? What is it that I want to do? And it's not just simply, I want to put my thoughts on the page. No. More basic than that. What is it that I really, really want to do? And it's taken me a little while to figure that out. When I was first doing my 100-word stories, way back when, at that beginning of that 3-year daily exercise, what was it that I was looking to do? And eventually I decided what I want to do is make myself laugh. And so that is what my stories typically will focus on, is something that's funny, something that makes me laugh, something that makes me go, that's good. In fact, if I come back to it, I want to say, wow, that's funny. I really hope the guy that wrote that knows that he has made me laugh, that is funny. It just so happens that that person is me, but that's what I shoot for. And it doesn't have to be your motivation. Your motivation can be, I want to make gripping drama. I want to tell my life story, or my life stories, because oftentimes we have way more than one, right? I want to share a piece of what's going on in my life. One of our co-founders has been working on a book for a good long while, I believe, about how her sausage dog likes to hide socks. So that is just sort of you want to share that, right? And how you share it, and to whom you share it, and all of the publication and blah, 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 blah. I mean, that's all secondary. You want to share your thing. For me, I want to share what I find funny. And that's where we go. And so all of those Clydes just made me laugh each and every time. They still do. And that's my motivation. That's where I go to. And so whenever I feel lost, I feel like I don't have anything to say, I feel like there's the blank page is just overwhelming because it's not filling itself in, that is actually the first place I go to, is what is making me laugh today. If I take a seed word germination and so I've boiled things down and I've got my 3 words, where does that go? And typically it's going to be, what do those 3 words represent that make me laugh? That is what I want to write. So that's my starting point. That's my motivation. That is what keeps me writing every day. So what else? What else is very useful in my writing toolkit? Patience. So typically in my creative process, where I observe the idea, so like I've got my motivation, I've got this thing, I want to make people laugh, I've got the sort of a basic idea, maybe it's word prompts or the picture prompts or whatever, and then I just sit and I think and I tease ideas back and forth, and I kind of even talk to the story, if you want to kind of grant me that liberty of saying that I can talk to the story, and sort of work things out. And how do I want to write? And what is it that's going to come up? And what is the presentation? So there's patience. Don't rush it. Focus. Don't get distracted, which is hard when you're trying to be patient. What do you let go? What do you allow to come in? Do I just simply drop something and you have to stay with it? Maybe you've heard the term soft gaze, where you're not staring hard at something, but it's just like a gentle gaze, and you allow it to shift and morph and whatnot, and you don't demand it to be a thing right now. No, it's just soft. It's a gaze. And of course, the last thing in this particular sublist, humor, because that's just where I go. And humor helps guidelines work better. Because if you are thinking in a very strict way, you're thinking rules and what breaks and what doesn't break and what's right and what's wrong and what's appropriate and what's not, and black and white and blah, blah, blah. Humor makes everything flow. It's sort of it's the juicy bit of guidelines bend. Okay, so those items are in my toolkit as well. What else is in there? A willingness to accept feedback. This one's super important. It really shows up as various odd stages. I'm just going to turn off my phone. Keeps binking at me. Accepting feedback is super important, because when you get into your story, oftentimes all you can see, all you can hear, all you can think about is your story and how you perceive it, how it's being presented to you. So maybe when you write the first Clyde, you don't realize that you haven't identified a voice as being young, or a voice as old, or a voice as like a mom voice or whatever. And you have to have someone come in and say, like, are you sure that you've identified that properly? Are you sure that you've tagged your conversation properly so that it makes sense when people read it and you're not reading it to them? Are you sure that you have done everything that you want to do with this? Can you choose better words, stronger words? Because sometimes you just get lost in I just want to tell the story, and the how you tell it is not always as strong as it could be. And the people who know you and the people who love you and who want to help you improve your writing will come back and say, you said, I walked to the car. Did you really want to say walk to the car? Really? Did you maybe saunter over to the convertible, that just sounds so much better. And you accept that feedback. You don't necessarily have to take it, but you consider it, right? Be open to the feedback. And along with that is a desire to improve. Everyone, with practicing their craft, practicing their creativity, practicing their art, things will move, they will morph, you will get better, you will get faster and stronger, just like Superman, but creatively. You can do it. I've done it. And I'm no one special. I'm just someone who has used these tools and willingly uses them in order to allow my craft to develop and grow and accept feedback. And I have the patience and the focus and the desire, because I still like to make myself laugh. And down at the bottom of this list, the last sublist of the sublists, that's where we start to get into things like vocabulary, grammar, things that help you express yourself better. But those are the tools, the little refining tools, the things that they kind of come when you're practicing. There's all sorts of tools that are out there. You've got the thesauruses, the thesauri, however you pronounce whatever the plural is of thesaurus. I don't know. You have dictionaries. You have these things that you can just like Google it in nowadays, and like you're like, what rhymes with sleigh? You get whole lists of words with, how many syllables would you like in that word? We can provide it all. And there's multiple lists. It's crazy, the amount of resources that are out there. And if you're interested, you'll find them. One of my favorites, I'll just mention it now, Merriam-Webster. They have a daily mailing, which is of words that are good to know. And they're not overly complicated words. These are like the words like oblique. Okay, so if you're not quite sure what, you've heard of it, but you not quite sure what it means, well, it's there. And then you can like get that little refresher. Oh yeah, oblique means this. And maybe you'll use it in your story. And you get a little bit more comfortable with that word. And then it just moves on and on and on. So, the list again. Your motivation, your desire. What is it you want to do with your writing? And remember that it doesn't have to be a simple one thing. You can use writing to explore yourself, your psyche, your motivations. You can use it to heal yourself. This is something I used to do an awful lot way back. Write really angry poetry just to get the feels out so I could release them. And then patience, focus, humor, willingness to accept feedback, a desire to improve, and then your writing tools like knowing your vocabulary, knowing your grammar. And that's where it all starts. And with that, that is where I'm going to end this pantser section. So before I close out the live stream for today, let me bring you first to the last line of the drawingXpressions haiku. A creative space, holistically supportive. Please like, share, subscribe. If you are on social media and you want to share your stories, please do so with the link of the DX Live with Parz. I have just set up a, a new public Facebook page. So if you want to come in, do a follow. I'm going to be posting on occasion just to let people know what's going on. I'm not a big Facebook guy. I just started again after a very long hiatus. Yeah, but pop on in. And with that, thank you so much for spending your, well, maybe it's the first day of December. Maybe it's the last day of November. Thank you for spending it with me. Thank you for hearing Clyde. And I hope to see you next week. And I'm not quite sure what we're going to do then. Figure it out in the meantime. But I hope to see you here then. Okay. Bye now.